I would consider the AFC taking Pent Up House as my first break, or the AFC giving us $10,000 to finish Strap on Olympia. I think those were breaks for me. Well, the films would never have been finished. It was hard to get the money to finish the films to a standard where you could screen them at like Clermont-Ferrand or Berlin Film Festival. That's the sort of places I ended up screening at. So I never could have made those films to that quality without that, the money, but also the people around that were helping me. So it opened up a whole world to me. Suddenly, something I loved, I could see, oh, I can actually do this. I can make this my life.
So it was step by step. So it started with like $1,000, $2,000 budget film. It didn't really go anywhere. And then to getting Screen New South Wales, the Young Filmmakers Fund, and then after that the Screen Australia or AFC supported short. And all the shorts, I think they became better and better and more successful and won awards. I think those things are really important.
There was just this energy as well, because Uncle Lester's Metro Screen thing, that was the first year that happened. So there was other Aboriginal people making our first films, and they did well. And it was so successful that they turned around, Metro Screen turned around straight away and offered us money to make a 10-minute film. And again, they were really successful. They penetrated the industry enough so that people were going, oh, hang on.
I had a lot of support through what was then the Australian Film Commission. They had a women's film unit, and they were very supportive and very open with opportunities. They had a special unit for women at the Film Commission to help you, give you $5,000 so you can employ a mentor. It's not there anymore, and we still need more women's voices.
Again, I had really good support at the AFC, and we got into Aurora. So I just had so much input, constant input from other people. So you can't work alone.
It certainly helped now, I think, Causeway, now that I've joined forces with another producer. So we got Screen Enterprise money as well, Feature Enterprise money, which is like a startup support from Screen Australia for emerging producers, and that's made a huge difference.
What I realised, and this is, I suppose, the biggest thing that I learnt, don't do it by yourself. You don't need to. Share credits, share everything.
I've had some really, really beautiful friends that have been able to support me when it's got really hard. I've been able to pay that back when I can. And have supported them as well when it's got hard for them as freelancers. I think the freelance life is the hardest life to live, and it's getting harder and harder and harder. And in this research project, it probably deserves its own chapter as to the reason why government funding is so important for initiatives and for films and filmmakers. It's just to keep you going. And I think filmmakers were important to the cultural landscape of Australia. In history and in the time that we're in living here, we're contributing to that cultural landscape.
Look, I am a great fan of the screen resource organisations around the country. I think they've played a role, and they're often unrecognised for the role they play. I think it's really, really valuable. It's not exorbitantly expensive, and they can practice and play and form relationships.
Whatever happens in the career that I have will be as a direct result of having started here. And I think everyone that's been through that with Metro Screen feels the same way.
One of the first places I went to was actually Metro Screen. So it was here also that I met the director that I went on to do those 3 or 4 short films with. That was really important, to have institutions like that, or places where in the early stages of a career there's a place to go to.
I feel it when I walk in the door here and I see the young people here, and I see what they're doing and how they're speaking, and the seriousness that they're attacking this thing called film with. And I think it's not only skills that they're getting, but it's a whole peer group, and it's a whole support. It's like this big mushroom's coming up and it's pushing them up. And I just, I hate to think what would happen if you don't have these community groups, if you only have film schools. You don't have the part-time students, you don't have the kids that are driven to come in on their own. And I just think it's what we were talking about. You need both things. You need imagination, but you also need structure. And these places create this wonderful structure for these young people to come in and sort of blossom.